Hey, come see us live. We're doing our Rumble Time show September 27th in Los Angeles. We'll be in Tempe, Arizona, and we'll be in Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. Here's just a brief piece of this article I was reading from the Midwestern Doctors Substack. A Midwestern Doctors Substack.
Yeah.
It's the great Ozempic scam and the safe ways to lose weight, the immense dangers of GLP-1 drugs, and the scandalous corruption that led the FDA to push them upon Americans. So this is a quick summary of the article. In early 2023, a private conference attended by the heads of, by the way, sponsored by Chase, a private conference attended by heads of the pharmaceutical industry and large investors hosted the head of the FDA as its keynote speaker. What that means is they paid him. They paid the notoriously corrupt head of the FDA, okay? At that conference, they promised that anti-obesity drugs and Alzheimer's drugs would be the most profitable investment opportunities in the years to come. Since that time, the FDA has taken numerous questionable actions to push these drugs on the populace. The most popular anti-obesity drug is Ozempic. In the last 2 years, we've seen a relentless push for it to be given to everyone, including children, which has involved a number of shockingly appalling marketing tactics. Remarkably, the stampede for Ozempic is almost identical to what happened with Fen-Phen, a wildly popular weight loss drug that was eventually pulled from the market due to it frequently causing severe heart and lung issues. Like Fen-Phen, the weight loss from Ozempic is temporary and disappears once the drug is stopped, requiring the patient to become a permanent customer. Worse still, Ozempic has a variety of common and severe side effects due to its paralyzing the digestive tract. That's from a Midwestern Doctor Substack. Now, I'm sure you know a lot more about it. I know that that's not even manufactured here in the United States. It's manufactured in Europe, where they're not allowed to sell Ozempic. Is that true?
It's not the standard of care. So in Scandinavia, in Denmark, where the drug is created, if you are dealing with high weight and obesity, it's not what the insurance and not what the healthcare system gives you. They actually give you a subsidized food as medicine diet, and they have their healthcare pay for exercise. You mentioned before my company helps with medical prescriptions to help people get, medical spending on food and exercise. I was recently talking to the New York Times, and they describe me as an alternative medicine entrepreneur. I'm like, that's not alternative medicine. That's just literally following the best clinical guidelines that the rest of the world follow. But yeah, in Europe, they don't see obesity as an Ozempic deficiency, and Ozempic costs 10 times less money than they're bilking the U.S. taxpayer for.
Wow.
Ozempic is in many ways the Rosetta Stone of pharma industry corruption. You can really understand everything. And let me just give a couple more to that fantastic article, by the way. So what did we have recently? We had 60 Minutes, the #1 news program in the United States. They had a doctor on to talk about Ozempic, Dr. Fatima Cody Stanford, who works at Harvard. She's the lead obesity researcher there. She, on 60 Minutes, unquestioned, said that obesity is genetic. It's, quote, a brain disease, and, quote, throw diet and lifestyle out the window. Kids must be injected with Ozempic immediately upon gaining weight because lifestyle and diet are failed anti-scientific modalities. She said that. It was an infomercial for Ozempic. You can't make this up, but I'm sure you can predict it. Pharma is the #1 spender on 60 Minutes. Before and after that segment, there were pharmaceutical ads. Okay. She then touted research from the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is 90% funded by Pharma. And this company from Denmark is one of the largest funders of the American Academy of Pediatrics. They came right after that 60 Minute segment and said, 12, as I mentioned, 12 years old, it's got to be the standard of care. Now they're studying on 6 years old. Okay. So if you're a parent in this country, right, and your kid is a little bit overweight, you are going to be, it's just like COVID, just like a lot of these other things, you're going to be told you're anti-science if you reject the idea of injecting your kid for life with this shot. Now, what's happening? Ozempic, Novo Nordisk, is one of the 10 largest spenders on lobbying in the United States. It's created based on this expectation of, US taxpayer subsidies, the 10th largest company in the world, the most valuable company in Europe. It's past LVMH. It's past the fashion company. It's now the most valuable company in Europe, based on 90% of their profits coming from the United States, not Europe. And it's just been a full court press on every single institution. I mean, the cherry on top is that they've actually paid the NAACP and other civil rights groups to lobby on behalf of Ozempic. And now you have a full court press of civil rights groups saying it's racist. If I'm not joking,
I know
the NAACP is saying this. They're going to Congress and saying it's racist if we don't get Medicaid and Medicare funding for Ozempic, which is $1,600 per patient per month forever. The calculations at that JP Morgan conference that you mentioned, the reason they're all clapping like seals for this drug, and literally to the speech you mentioned, I've had people in that room standing ovation when they talked about the obesity crisis in this drug. The reason they're clapping like seals is because that's going to be an annuity, $1,600 from the US taxpayer, and the target market is 80% of American adults and 50% of teens. My big question, and what I've actually been proposing to members of Congress who support this bill last week when I met with them in person in Washington, D.C., is what could you do with that $1,600 per patient? Where could that money go? I think it's a very interesting debate to ask, what should we be spending $1,600 per month on to address not just the obesity, but the larger chronic disease crisis? And I will tell you, if somebody looks at what's happening in the state of American health and has $1,600 per patient, it would not be jamming everyone with a very ineffective and problematic poison. It would be solving the root cause, which for starters is not force-feeding ultra-processed crap down our kids' throats.
I mean, you could buy a gym membership. You could buy delivery. Even if you live in a food desert, you could by delivery. There's companies out there that will send you food that isn't ultra processed. Send it to you right to your house. You could get fruits and vegetables. Hey, come see us live. We're doing our Rumble Time show September 27th in Los Angeles. We'll be in Tempe, Arizona, and we'll be in Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.